How you doing, YouTube? Today we're back with a brand new video. So in today's video we're going to be mechanically fixing some insulated plasterboard to a wall in till several walls in like an outside garage type thing. I'm going to run you through it step by step and show you exactly how we do it. So okay, these are the walls. We're going to be boarding these today, so I'm going to show you how we do that. Okay guys, so in this video I'm actually just going to talk you through how we're going to fit these insulated plasterboard. So there's a few different ways that we can fit these insulated plasterboard to the wall. The first way and the best would be building a frame, a metal frame in front of, they call them gyp frame is the name that the brand that we use here in Belfast. So you build a gyp frame in front of the wall, about 2 inches in front of the wall, and then you screw the plasterboard to the frame. And we would use that in cases where there's damp on the previous on the old wall, sort of old pre-war houses. So what we'll do is we'll build the frame, we'll screw to the frame, and then we'll have a vapor barrier in there as well to make sure that no moisture gets through and causes damp on the walls inside of the insulated board. The second way would be sort of similar to that, but we would fix mechanically fix buttons with DPC on the back of them to the wall, and then fit the board to that. The third way would be if everything's completely dry, it's completely dry, but we need to sort of make the walls level. We would use some dot and dab compound, and we would basically plasterboard adhesive, and we'll stick the boards to the wall. After we'll also stick some mechanical fixings in just to make sure that everything's held tight. Another way of doing it would be using Damp Sam's method. He uses acrylic grab adhesive and expanding foam and basically sticks them to the wall. In that case, for me, I would also use mechanical fixings if I was to use that method, but I know Damp Sam doesn't. And then the way that we are doing it, these walls are completely fine. They're level, they're straight. Everything's perfect about them. There's no moisture or damp, nothing. So we're just mechanically fixing them straight to the wall. It's the best application for this job, because we don't have to worry about dampness or anything like that there. So we'll just fix the walls, the board straight to the wall. And how we're fixing them, so you'll see here I have this is an SDS drill, but it's a smaller SDS drill. It's from Airbar. I think I'm 90% sure I have a product review about this drill, but what we'll do is we'll use this SDS drill. We're using a 9mm bit, so we'll drill a hole with a 9mm bit, and then we have hammer fixings. So you'll see here I'll take a hammer fixing out of my pocket, and then we will just put that on into the hole, and then we'll hammer it in. So the hammer fixing is slightly bigger than 9mm, so when you bang it in, it sort of compresses the metal into the hole, and it gives you a snug fit. They're super strong. I've tried to get these out of walls before, and they're an absolute nightmare. So when they're used right, they're real good for fixing stuff like this. So about this plasterboard, the plasterboard we're using here is 50mm insulated plasterboard. Now this comes in all different sizes. There's one size up from this is 60mm insulated plasterboard, and then there's a few smaller, but the 37.5 mil insulated plasterboard would be the one that I would use most often, because it has the best ratio for heat loss to space took up in the room. So I would use that most often. But the guy that's got me to do this work, he specified that he wanted the 50mm, and that was because as you can obviously see here, he's not short of space in this room, and I think he was turning this into a sort of studio for his daughter's business. So we used the 50mm because he wanted it to be nice and warm. You'll see here when we're fitting them also that there's a wall that we don't complete. We'll be actually going back to complete that wall. He needed to get a window cut out, and it was sort of a last minute decision on his part that he wanted that window cut out. So I said, tell him rather than cancelling getting the job done, that I would come back and just do the one wall at the very end when he has the window and stuff all fitted. So you can see it's pretty straightforward. We're just hammering these directly into the wall. So one of the questions that I'm often asked is how I actually finish around windows and doors and stuff. So when I'm pricing the job, I like to give customers options. The options usually are between what's the right way to do it and what's the best way to do it, because they're not always the same thing. So around windows, the right way to do it would be to use the insulated plasterboard on the window reveal, and that stops any thermal bridging around windows, around doors, stuff like that there. But in doing that, you're taking away sort of, if you imagine your window, there's like the white part that goes around the glass. You're taking away a massive amount of that white bit. Now, I don't mind doing that, and I will do it for people to specify it, but that's what they want. But what I usually do is what I done here, mainly because this is actually this. I wasn't really too worried about insulating the window reveals because there wasn't going to be any thermal bridging, because this has a cavity and stuff, so I wasn't worried about it that way. But what I usually do is put some expanding foam on the back of the board, let it expand out, and then cut it till the thickness that I want. And obviously there's no moisture barrier, but it's a good way to get at least some insulation on the back of the plasterboard, and you can leave more of the window. You're not worrying so much that you're going to take away the white of the window. So you see here, I'm just finishing off hammering this board in, and you do have to hit these quite hard. So I'm just going to explain to you how I do around sockets and switches and stuff. So you'll see here the next board that I have to put on is one that has sockets in the middle. So there's a few ways you can offer the board up, and you can cut the socket out of the board, and that is a relatively good way of doing it. But the way I like to do it is what I'll do, and it's a wee bit more annoying because there's obviously one socket above another here. But what I usually do is I will cut the bottom bit so I'll cut the board, and I'll cut it to the height so that it's just above the socket. So it's on like the top lip of the socket, and then I will mark I'll offer the board up to the wall, and I'll mark either side of the box where it needs to be cut out. And then I will measure the width of the box, and I'll measure that on with a tape measure, and then I'll cut it by hand. So you can see here, I offer this bit of board up. I actually do it to the bottom edge on this one, and the reason for this was because these boards were the exact right size to hit the bottom of the socket, and because there's two sockets to be done here, I thought that I would just cut them both out of the same board. So I'll use the same process as I was describing before. I'll cut the board. I'll measure from this bit of board that I fitted. I'll measure to the top of the higher socket, and I will cut the board to that height. Once I've done that, then I will measure and cut the sockets out, and then I will cut another bit of board to go in on top. It sounds complicated. I'll maybe do a sort of more in-depth video about that, but it's basically how I do it. Another thing that people ask me when I do these videos is how I cut these boards. So the way I cut these boards is I use my circular saw. I have a blade that I use basically just for cutting these boards. It's just a wood blade, but it's an old one, so I don't care about it getting all gunked up with the foam and stuff like that there. I just put that blade on when I know that I'm doing these boards, and I will just cut it with it. It's a bar circular saw. It's cordless. It's bocce powered, so yeah, it's handy. And this is me offering the bit of board that I cut up to the wall. And you'll see that that bit of board is sort of just you see the top socket there. The board will come up to the top of that socket. Anytime that I do this, I get the client to remove the sockets, and also get the electric turned off to the specific sockets that I'm going to be working around. If you do it this way, you can work around just having the socket screwed off and pulled out. It's probably the biggest reason why I actually do it this way. So what I'll do is I'll offer the board up to the wall, and then you'll see me, I'll use my Stanley knife and I'll mark the socket either side, and then I'll do it at the top, either side of the socket. And then I use a tape measure to measure how deep the cut's going to be. So from like the width or the height of the box, I'll measure that, and then I just cut it out with a saw. Hopefully that's a little bit more clear that you can see me actually doing it. You see here I measure how deep the box is, and then I transfer that depth to where I marked the two, how wide it was, and I'll do that top and bottom. And then I'll just use a handsaw then to cut that out. Another thing that's important to keep in mind when you're working around sockets is what way the cable's going. So I know, because you can see that the bottom box is fed from the top box, the electrical socket. The bottom box is fed from the top box, and then the top box goes up into the ceiling. And a good way to find out what way your cable's going is by opening or if you already have them open, just looking inside the box, and you'll see where the conduit comes into the box. And usually, most electricians will fit. They should realistically either be going straight up, straight down, or left to right. They should never go diagonal across the wall. So, when you're offering, when you're putting your boards on, that, if you have a socket and it's the wire is going straight up into the ceiling, or it looks like it's going that direction, then you need to make sure not to put your fixings in the center where the boxes are, and then if you do that rule of thumb will keep you right 99.9% of the time. Now, there's that 1% that there's a cable buried in a wall that's running somewhere that doesn't have a socket, or so the bibs and braces, and keep yourself right. I would always ask the client, that I know where the cables are, so that sort of thing. Like, but it's hard to know, especially in older properties where there's been maybe 10, 20 different electricians have done work over the years, cables going all directions, here, there, and everywhere. You do run the chance of hitting a cable, and that's just the nature of mechanically fixing these to the wall. If you're doing it in your own home, it's not as much of a big deal, because if you hit the cable, then you're paying for it, and most of the time you're going to be pretty aware when you hit a cable. You'll fit the board, and probably within an hour or two, the electric will probably knock itself off. So if it's a client's house you're doing it on, you're going to get yourself in big trouble, because one of the things is that you're going to have to pay an electrician to come and find the issue. Even if he doesn't need to come and find the issue, you know exactly what one that you drove through a cable. You're going to have to pay him to come and fix it. If you don't, and you try to actually fix it yourself, then you're making yourself liable if the house goes on fire, because of the electrical cable not being fixed correctly. You're leaving yourself wide open for prosecution, and if there's a death or something, you could probably go to prison. At the very least, it's going to cost you a lot of money, paying for people's damages, damage to property, damage to person. So if you do hit a cable, stop. As hard as it's going to be on your bottom line, ring an electrician and get them to come and fix it correctly. The last thing you want to do is put yourself or other people in danger. Coming up here, I'll fit the rest of this board, and then what you'll see that I'll do is I actually skip the next board, because that's cut. That board isn't the full board, so I'll skip, and then I'll put a full board in the corner here. The reason that I do this is because when we put this board into the corner, it's going to make the cut that you see there that we have to do even smaller, and then that means that the bit that the sort of the wastage similar thing on the ceiling. You can also see in between these boards on this back wall, you can see a gap. Now, although you do try your best to make sure that there's no gaps, sometimes you do get slight gaps in your board. The ceiling in this place was slightly sloped, and it stopped us from being able to butt our boards up completely. So it was either have a slight gap here in each board, or have a sort of bigger gap along the ceiling angle. Either that, or have to cut each of the boards sort of a crappy cut that would have took a lot more time, basically. So when we have something like this, what we'll actually do is we'll fill these gaps with some expanding foam. Now, these gaps are maybe 3, I know they look pretty big on the video, but they're actually not that big. These bigger gaps we actually fill with expanding foam, or these smaller gaps we'll fill with expanding foam. We'll let that dry, and then we cut any excess off. We scrim tape over the top, and then we'll plaster it. For anything sort of bigger than 1/2 inch, what I'll actually do is I'll cut some board. I'll actually just cut some board, and the reason that I do this is because I don't like filling that much space with foam. Just for when I'm skimming over, even though the gap will be scrim taped over, I just don't like the idea of the plaster having that much of a space where it's not adhered to board. And most likely it will probably be okay, but it's just something that I like to do. Now, cutting this insulated plasterboard sort of any smaller than sort of around 1/2 inch is extremely difficult. And a lot of times when you do it, the actual plasterboard will actually come away from the insulation behind it. So that's why anything smaller than 1/2 inch we'll use foam to fill. So we've got to this window wall now, and we're coming up to sort of close to the end of the video. This board is big, and it's heavy, and it's sort of cumbersome, and it's sort of hard to move. You see, I got 2 sawhorses there, and I actually bought them. It was when I was doing my own house. I bought them for sort of setting my circular saw and stuff up on, or setting my drop saw up on. But to be honest, they haven't really worked too well. I've put a couple of cuts through them with the circular saw, and they've sort of fell apart. So I'm gonna it's hard to find a good sawhorse. So I'm most likely going to have to make one. But it's always good to have a sawhorse for doing this sort of thing, that you can set the boards up and work at them sort of, so you're not bent over on the ground cutting these. Save your back, that sort of stuff. And here again, you'll see me actually cut it without a mask, which is mental. And the worst part about it is about 1.5 meters from where I'm standing, the van sitting there, and the mask's actually just sitting on the front seat. So why I didn't just put it on, I don't know. But again, if you're going to be cutting this stuff 100%, you need to be wearing a mask to do it. So you can actually see here, this is the circular saw. And we're just cutting it like a bit of wood, basically. Or, at least I tried. I put the t-shirt over my face, not that it helped any. So we just cut, we mark with our tape measure, and then we'll just cut straight across. And this little circular saw is perfect for cutting it. I haven't found a better way. Most people cut with hand saws, but It takes too long. I find when you get halfway down the board, it starts to close up and nip on your saw. It does the same thing in a circular saw, but obviously because the circular saw is more powerful, and you're not wasting loads of energy, so it's handy that way. We will be going back to finish this job. As you can see, we've missed a big part out in this wall. It's because the guys actually coming, or the guys decided last minute to get a window put in here, so that's the reason why we've left that wall out. I also just wanted to mention, I have, you can now become a member of the channel. When you become a member, you actually get sort of more, you get an extra video every month. And then this video that you're watching has actually already been live for just over 2 weeks. So yeah, you can watch all these videos 2 weeks before everybody else. You can also get like priority replies, and I take requests for videos over there as well. You get the same benefits if you sign up to Patreon. But the most important thing is that you like and comment to help push these videos further. YouTube, it seems to be the more you get like likes and subscribes, the higher your videos sort of pushed by the algorithm or whatever it is. So I would appreciate it if you enjoy the videos, just to like and subscribe, leave a comment, turn on your bell. Yeah, and I'm not gonna ramble on anymore. We're coming to the end of the video, so yeah, I'll just say thank you for watching. I hope you've learned something. If you haven't, and you're interested to find out something, about the method I use, or even if you think there's a better way of doing it, feel free to leave a comment or give me a shout on my social medias. And let me know or ask me questions, because at the end of the day I make these videos to help people, and maybe hopefully save them some money. A lot of the stuff that I've learned over the years have been from YouTube videos and has saved me a fortune. So if I could sort of pass that on to other people, that's the main reason that I do YouTube. If you want to check out my gaming channel also, just search Danny Surgener on YouTube. The link's actually in the description of this video. It's just me playing games. If you like to hear me rambling on about working, you can go over there and hear me ramble on about playing video games. I recently got a new computer setup, so I'm going to be doing a little video over there of the new setup. That's where I sort of added these videos. I'm actually sitting at my desk now recording this voiceover, so I think people maybe find it interesting. Yeah, go over and check out the channel. Yeah, and that's it. I'm going to hand you over to myself, and I'm going to do an outro. So thanks for watching, guys. Okay, so that's the end of the second video from this job. We insulated plasterboard at the walls, and that was just like a how-to video, explaining to you how to do it. That's going to do it for this video. If you enjoyed, hit the thumbs up, subscribe. It's the best way to support me is commenting, thumbs up, subscribing. The more stuff that I get on videos, more views and stuff, the more my videos push an algorithm, and basically I get paid from YouTube for views. So yeah, it's a good way to do it. You can become a member. Becoming a member gets you an extra video every month. It also gives you all the videos that you're watching 2 weeks earlier than everyone else, and then also I'm going to be starting to put some TikTok shorts up, or some YouTube shorts up, that's only going to be for people that are members of the channel. You can go on to my Patreon for the same benefits. You can also go to my Buy Me Coffee link, or you can click on one of the Amazon affiliate links. The way the affiliate links works is you click on one of the links, you buy a tool, and then I get a small percentage of that tool. It's a good way to support me without actually giving me money directly, and I appreciate it, any sort of support. And then of course check out my social media: TikTok, Instagram, Facebook. I have a Facebook page and stuff there. So yeah, and that's going to be it for this video, guys. Thanks for watching. I'll see you in the next video.